want you to think about this. I want you to just think about this sentence. You can't please everyone. You can't please everyone. Now, a lot of times we hear people throw that out there. Like, well, I can't make everybody happy, can't make. But I want you to think about it as if it were gravity, as fixed as a law as you can get, just as fixed as anything that is absolutely absolute. That sentence. You can't please everybody. That's not just a suggestion. That is just true. And here's why. Some people like apples, some people like bananas. Some people like rom-coms, and some people like action movies. Some people, right, like, kind of more left-leaning, liberal kinds of ways of dealing with issues. Some people like more right-leaning, conservative ways of dealing with issues. Some people like art, some people like science. Some people like people with blonde hair, some people like people with red hair. All right, now think about this. The fact that there are human differences in and of itself makes it impossible for you to make everybody happy with any answer, any solution, any way of being that you come up with, right? All right, it gets worse from here. Not only human differences in preferences, but human reality differences in character. There are different kinds of people in the world. Different kinds of people in the world. There are honest, loving people that respect your freedom. Okay? There are control freaks that do not respect your freedom. If you make a choice and say no to them or do something you want and it's not what they want, you will not please a control freak by exercising your God-given freedom. And somebody that's loving and honest and respects freedom will be perfectly pleased with you. Now, you can flip that. If you give in to the control freak and enable their behavior and enable their addictive stuff, then the honest, loving person is not going to be pleased with you because you're enabling somebody in the family or somebody in the system to get away with murder, hypothetically speaking, or metaphorically speaking. You just can't please everybody because everybody's not alike. You can't please the good people and the bad people. You can't do it. A, because people are different. B, you would have to be two people. You'd have to say yes to this person and then yes to that person, and they're wanting different things out of you. How are you going to please opposites when you're one person? You got to go one way. You'd have to be a dual personality, a multiple personality, or when we talk about aspects of integrity, you would have to be duplicitous, a non-trustworthy human. Thirdly, you will never get what you want out of life. Because what you're going to want and desire is not going to be what somebody else thinks is right or good or best for you. And if you're going to have your own dreams and goals and values and all that, you're going to have to sometimes make some choices other people don't like. Now, hopefully, they will get it. They might not like it, but the good ones will love you. They just don't like it. I would, I'd not be doing what I'm doing today if I if I had tried to please everybody. I'll tell you a funny story because I was an accounting and finance major, and probably thought I'd probably, if I didn't do something in the world of golf, um, I'd go go into business and maybe go to law school because I always liked all of that. And I was an accounting and finance major, and that's kind of the direction I would go. I came from a business family, and my dad and I were close, and we talk about this all the time. And well, lo and behold, halfway through college, I have a deeper faith conversion, and I decided I want to serve God in some capacity. And I thought I might want to be a pastor, and then I figured I just can't be a pastor. I'm not good enough. I can't, I'm, they're holier than me or something. I don't know what it was. I just wasn't my view of a pastor. That wasn't me. But what can I do that's kind of involved in faith and human growth and change and all that? And I was reading a lot of psychology books, and so I changed my major to psychology and thought, that's where I wanted to go. And we know without thinking I'm crazy, God told me to do that, to change my major and go into this field. And so I go home and I tell my father, changing my major, and he says, "Oh, great. So what can you do with that?" I said, "Well, nothing, unless you go to graduate school for 5 more years, really." And he says, "Do you want to do that?" And I'm going, "Well, that's what I think I'm wanting to do." And he says, "What?" And he kind of had some issues with that. You don't even know if that's what you want to do, and really, this is your college education. And I said, "Well, I'm going to find out. I'm going to take it and take some course." Anyway, so I get to the end of my senior year, and I decide I'm going to wait a year before going to graduate school. I'm going to work in a psychiatric hospital. And so you can't do anything with a bachelor's degree in psychology much in a psych hospital. You're not licensed to treat people. But I got a job as an orderly, and I could take vital signs and sit in on the groups and help patients, sit around and talk about stuff and all this. And I spent a year in a psych hospital as an orderly so I could learn to make sure this is what I wanted to do. And guess what? It was my first job out of college, and it paid a whopping sum of $3.33 an hour. Woohoo! I am an employed college graduate. $3.33 an hour. I'll never forget that number. My father thought I was crazy. Because, are you kidding me? You have a college education. You're working for $3. All my friends are going off and getting these great jobs. And he wasn't happy. Still loved me. He wasn't like being a snit about it. But I remember it was one of those moments in life where you have to do something that everybody thinks is crazy. Everybody around you kind of thinks is crazy, but you got to do it. That's what I mean by you can't end up doing what you want to do if you have to please everybody. So I want you to think about this, and here's what I want you to think about. One of my favorite verses, and we always have the thought of the day on the show connected to a couple of verses. Listen to what Proverbs 29 says. It says, "Fear of man or fear of people will prove to be a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe." Fearing people's opinions is a snare, it says. If you're afraid of what somebody's going to think, and that's going to dictate your behavior, you're ensnared. You're in a trap. You can't even move. You're in a bear trap. Every time you move, oh, well, what if they don't like it? Oh no, they might disapprove. Oh no, Mr. Bill, no. It's a snare. So I want you to just think about that. What do you need to do in your life? And the reason you're not doing it is your sister, mother, brother, father, somebody, friend, whoever won't approve of it or like it. But the second part of this, whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe. If God's upset with what we're doing, we got a problem because we're violating the laws of physics, right? It's like, when God tells us don't do stuff, that's for a protection and a promise. Always. It's like when I, say to my kids, don't run in the street. Pretty good to listen to that. Dad knows what he's talking about here. Well, that's how God is. So if we're pleasing him, you're going to be safe. But people, got to pick the ones you're trying to please. And then one more verse, one of my favorite verses that relates to this, and I love this verse, where Jesus said, think about this. Oh my gosh. He didn't say, woe is you too many times, but when he did, we better listen. Woe to you. Woe to you. He said, woe to you when A, B, C, or D. Well, one of the times he said, woe to you, he said, woe to you when all men speak well of you. If the addict and control freak and narcissist and sadist and gaslighter and user and abuser is pleased with you, you're in trouble, because that means you're giving into some really bad behavior, probably against you. And you're enduring a lot of stuff. And that's something we need to either get rescued out of, run to a shelter, or get the strength to have some boundaries and stand up to. But if we're pleasing the wrong people, control freaks and addicts and irresponsible people, keeping them happy, because as soon as you set limits and boundaries, they're going to throw a temper tantrum. That's good. That's good. Stay safe, run away, whatever you got to do. But don't worry about upsetting people. Just make sure you're upsetting the right people.